hat, yeah. I know. So it's still going towards me. Yeah. Well, first it came from Cliff. It's not my
Folks,
fault.
we'll get started. Go ahead and call the library board meeting that should have happened in January, here on February 24th. Thanks to snow, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda, the normal order of business is in our bylaws, does not include these couple of things. So we'll go ahead and vote to add the invocation and the pledge to the flag so that we kind of are a little more in line with what county council does and many of the other commissions do in their meetings. We'll go ahead and entertain a motion to add those two items to the agenda for tonight. And then later, order of business we have in there to add those to the bylaws. But for now, we'll go ahead and have someone make a motion and we'll add those, okay?
Make a motion.
Second. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay. All right, so, invocation, since that hadn't been established yet, I'll just take a volunteer, anybody that wants to give the invocation.
I'll volunteer. Lord, we come before you tonight, we ask you to give us discernment and wisdom as we do the county's business. Help us to represent our community as a whole and to do everything that would be pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Okay, and now pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if I can have a motion to approve, hopefully you all had got a chance to see, I know it's been a little while. I sent them out to you in January and then we've sort of gotten off track a little bit here, but hopefully you all got a chance to review the November minutes. Any questions or concerns about that before we make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, Cliff?
Second.
Second, Paul? All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Okay, all right, now we're to the point of officer elections for this year, and we'll just go ahead and entertain nominations from the floor for chair first, and go ahead and get that voted on, and then we'll vote on vice chair and secretary treasurer, or call for nominations. So at this point in time, call for nominations from the floor for chair.
I'd like to nominate Paul Holcomb as chair.
Any others? Okay, go ahead and call for a vote on Paul as chair. Okay. Paul, if you want to take over and call for nominations for vice chair and secretary treasurer.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I turn the meeting back over to you.
Okay, so vice chair, nominations for vice chair.
I think Kim.
Nominate.
Kim.
Okay.
Others? Okay, all in favor, Kim? Any opposed?
Okay.
Great. Secretary treasurer.
Nominate Judy Adams. Nominate Judy Adams. What, do we initially get Adams?
Who was secretary?
Sarah was it?
That was myself. I've got some personal and family issues that I'd like to decline this year.
Sure.
So, we have to take minutes of what we say here at.
No, that's why you have me.
So I do tend to take notes and try to get the motions and first and, just to kind of cross-reference them up.
Yeah.
That's
You
nice.
take them too? I'll be emailing you a lot.
They're recorded too, so.
Who nominated Judy?
I did.
Mandy or
My friend down
Kim or, okay.
Okay, all in favor of Judy? Any opposed?
All
She's gonna kill me.
All right.
So do I start tonight?
I had to.
I got you covered.
Yeah,
I got you covered.
Judy, I'm still doing them tonight too, so.
Thank you, Tara,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Tara.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comment? Anyone from the public like to speak? 4 minutes, you're allowed? Okay. Okay. Board member comments? How about our Friends report, Blair?
All right, just real quick on the Friends report, I did provide the numbers for you for November, December. I didn't really get updated numbers for January. That'll be in the March report, as, part of our normal, bi-monthly report that I do send to you all, but they've had, even continuing on into January, just anecdotally, I know they've had pretty good numbers, even after the holidays, and so, their sales continue to be strong. We continue to take in tons of donations. They haven't had any really big collections or anything like they had towards the end of the year. I think a lot of people might have just been purging towards the holidays and that kind of thing. Haven't really had any as big donations as much, but they've been taking in donations steady. A couple of our branches have undertaken weeding projects again, so they've been receiving some items from the branches as well, so they have a good selection also of discarded books that are still in good shape. So the sales continue to be strong. Our lobby sales are still good in both Walhalla and Seneca, and they are still selling many of the $3 bags there at Walhalla. Those continue to be super popular, and they always have those pretty well stocked out. They have one who pretty much is just dedicated to those. Her name is Emily Hitchcock, and she has those things well stocked all the time. So they also continue to sell very well. The Friends are getting ready to fund us for our summer reading program, an adult summer reading program. They have a board meeting March 19th. Theirs is usually the third Thursday before then we have ours on the fourth Tuesday. So they'll have a board meeting on March 19th that they'll approve summer reading. Also, we are sending someone to Leadership Oconee this year. It's been a couple of year hiatus for us since they changed their format. They used to have it to where it coincided with the school year. It went from September to May, and that, was usually useful for us. We could even send youth services personnel. Then they've changed it now to where it runs spring, summer, and fall. So trying to send our youth services librarian in the middle of summer reading, probably not the best idea, because they do take you for a full day each month of I think now it's March until September maybe, or October, I'm not sure on that. But anyway, this is sponsored by the chamber, and it's a Leadership Oconee. It's a really good class. Most of our senior librarians and management have been through it, but we've got some new people. This time we are sending Brittany Castro, our adult services librarian, so she's gonna get a chance to take this. And usually the Friends pay half, and the tuition or fee, and then we pay half, the library pays half. So they'll also be talking about that. So we are sending someone to Leadership Oconee again this year. I guess I could have covered that in the director's report, but anyway. And so, their sales continue to be strong. They've got a pretty good cadre of volunteers right now. They are looking for additional people if anyone wants to volunteer, but they have a pretty good group down there that's pretty well oiled. And anybody that comes in from outside and sees that, comes in and sees the sales and sees what they do, it's a well-oiled machine with a really nice location down there in the basement. They've got it well set up. It's as nice, other than the fact that it's in a basement, it's about as nice as any bookstore. And they've got it very well organized. So we continue to be grateful for what the Friends are doing for us, and their sales continue to be strong. And so I think they're in good shape right now.
You bring books in, they're on the spot. They take them from you at the door, yeah.
Yeah, and they've got it well organized to take in donations now. You can just meet them right down there, basement level. They bring out a cart, they bring them in for you, and then they take them right to their sorting room and start scanning on them. Because they have a system now where they scan the ISBN number and find out, okay, is it something we want to sell? Do we hold it for our vendor? They've got a vendor that helps them take care of the ones that they can't sell. And then finally, is it something that we just have to have discarded? But they pile it all up there in the garage level, and then they have a guy that comes about once a month or so, from Tennessee, and he handles not only whatever they maybe can't sell or something that they might have difficulty selling, but also he handles all the discards and recycling. He takes it with him, so we don't even have to recycle anything that's truly beyond, sale, if it's like damaged or dirty or whatever that was taken in donations. We don't even have to, it doesn't go to our landfill or anything, it goes with this fellow in Tennessee, because, unless it's truly like moldy or damaged or whatever, even some of the ones that the friends have scanned and know they're not gonna be able to sell, he still has a way to monetize. He sells on Amazon, he does a couple other, dealer things, so he's got ways of taking care of some of the stuff that they know they can't sell because they've already scanned it. And so it's a very well-ordered, system, kind of life cycle for those donated books, and it works very well. And so they just continue to be real strong with that.
Blair, you mentioned like the $3 bags at Wahala. Do we do those at other locations or Bookmobile, or do we do any kind of sales?
We've done them as pop-up. Westminster did them back, I guess, before the holidays.
That's what I was
We
thinking.
haven't sent them out too much just because space issues, honestly. They've got the whole lobby there in Walhalla, and so not only do they have about 4 shelves that they have like displayed books on that are $3 a piece, but then they also have 2 carts that sit there in the lobby, 2 book trucks, carts, that have all the $3 bags on them, and it's just anywhere from, 6, 7 books to 8 or 9, 12 books, something like that they've curated, and they're all labeled by genre and by like subject. So you might have mysteries, you might have cookbooks, you might have Civil War books, you might have, juvenile or teen books or that kind of thing, whatever. They go with our labels that we also use in the library, and then they have those out there. So we did take some $3 bags. Leah Price set up a table there in the main part of the library across from the desk at the Westminster branch, and she sold them there. Seneca does have like a little small bookcase that they also do individual $3 books on, but they just don't really have space for the bags. So bags are mainly in Walhalla, but every once in a great while, like I said, Leah Price, they figured they had a little space there before the holidays. She just set up a table. Now it's got the seed library on it, so that's, now we're on to something else. But, those, and they do really well in Walhalla. I mean, if we knew where we could put some in other branches, we would, but this is mainly just a space issue.
Okay, thanks.
Committee reports, does finance have a report? How about, policy and personnel? Buildings and grounds? There's one comment from buildings and grounds, on January 17th, that was the day before the ice storm, so it was pretty cool, in the 30s. In the Walhalla building was noticeably uncomfortably cold. The thermostat read 68. So February 23rd was a day in the 40s. I took a thermocouple there, and the thermostat was reading 69. The thermocouple actually said we were 66.
Yeah.
Which is not a big deal difference, but it is below the comfort zone. 69, 60 or 89, or 69, you feel good. 66, you're cold. And I know by the time we have another meeting, we'll be getting into spring, but maybe by fall next year, that's something we could look at. I don't know the age of that thermostat, if we're in a rotation for it to need changing out.
Well, the the main issue for us is that 3-4 years ago, Johnson Controls, they got some kind of a big contract with Johnson Controls. Johnson Controls came in and put in all of those, like this kind of thermostat with the, screen readout instead of just a standard dial or a, thing, whatever.
Right.
And then they've also come in and set them to certain tolerances or certain levels, and they've got them locked out. Now, we can't get into them for like emergencies and that kind of stuff if they haven't truly locked us out of them or anything. Mainly it's just to keep the public off of them. But they are all set to a schedule that they're supposed to come on only at certain times. And we've noticed that, we've actually pushed some of the ones in the public area back a little bit to where they come on earlier, because the problem we have is the schedule's set to come on like an hour before we open. Well, if they're set to go down to like 60 or even 58 at night, and then you're waiting on a 20-degree day for those things to catch up, they're running aux heat the first 4 hours.
Sure.
We do have one right now that is down, so I think I've mentioned before, the back area of the library where we put the Macaulay room, the Mariah Macaulay room, that we just sectioned off a portion. It doesn't have its own thermostat in there, we just sectioned off a portion of the main floor. The problem is the one HVAC unit in the back of, it's the back of the library, but it's the part that faces Pine Street. But there's one back there that we know is not functional right now. They've actually got it off because there's a Freon leak in it. And they've tested the system up so far. They think the Freon leak is up in the conduit somewhere that runs from the lower level up to where it comes into the building on the higher level. They're gonna have to get a lift or whatever, so facilities maintenance has just been kind of waiting.
Okay.
So that back part of the library is pretty chilly.
It
And
was,
also includes the computer area. and
The
stuff.
2030, it was 65.7 back
Yeah.
there along that northern wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we know it's an issue, and unfortunately, now the thermostats are only 3 or 4 years old. The HVAC units themselves are all 2011.
Okay, okay.
So we know, we're already, I'm with, new county administration, everything else, it's gonna be a learning curve a little bit.
Sure.
But I hope they understand, and I've talked to the facilities maintenance director, Jason Neal, a couple of times, and they know, but unless we get some kind of big grant or something, replacing them all at once is probably not gonna happen.
Sure.
And then we're just probably fixing them and replacing parts as long as they can get parts, which they've been able to so far. But I don't know long-term I don't know, if maybe with the new county council and we can see what they're gonna, or the new administrator, we'll see what they're gonna do on certain things. Down the road, maybe they can get another big grant or something, another energy grant to do that like they did with the thermostats or like they did. 2011, they had gotten a big grant from the Department of Energy to do all that to begin with, but all of our units basically date back to 2011.
Wow. One of your employees even commented, she says, "I'm frequently cold."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think the issue too with HVACs is since 2025, January, if like an exterior heat pump goes out or something to that extent, you can't just replace that anymore. You
Right.
have to go and replace, because the Freon that's used in the systems built prior to 2024, they no longer make. So you would have to go and replace not only the exterior heat pump unit, we'd also replace all the air handlers, because they're not compatible with each other.
That's right.
So.
Of course they're not, they do that for a reason.
Yeah, exactly, planned obsolescence, but, is that something we should be possibly looking towards budgeting to or asking the county about? Because 2011, they only last 15 years, we're at 15 years right now.
Yes, sir. Yeah, let me do some investigating on that. We are gonna start, I can't really budget for that, because that's way outside of my normal maintenance budget. Usually we get about $8,000 a year for like building maintenance on, Walhalla, and that also includes the alarm system each year, paying for the subscription to that, and that also includes the, fire inspection and fire extinguishers and everything else. So by the time stuff comes out of that, I've got just enough left for like if a toilet goes or this goes. And then, hey, I haven't had a chance, the former finance director, former administrator kind of knew where I was, and I haven't had a chance to really read the new folks in yet. I did have a meeting with the administrator. We talked about a few things. I did mention our aging HVAC and facilities, but, unfortunately, they got a lot of fish to fry right now with insurance and other things that you all might have heard about. So, but yeah, I'm gonna have to keep it on their radar because, at some point, more than one or two of them is gonna go, and then as Cliff points out, they're gonna have to be replaced.
Right.
So, it's an ongoing issue. I don't know that we can necessarily budget for it, because I've talked to Jason Neal already, again, facilities maintenance director, and it's basically like when they start going, we'll just fix them, and then at some point in time, the county, they're gonna have to come up with a grant or some kind of something, because that's gonna be hundreds of thousands of dollars probably to replace. There's 19 units maybe.
Wow.
at
So
the
with
Walhalla
air
Ranch.
handlers and with heat pumps.
And so the air
Just
handlers are in the attic or in the, upper crawl space, upper, catwalks, and then all the outside units as well. So yeah, if they have to replace those, you're talking quite a bit of money. So we're limping along right now, and I know in some spots it is uncomfortable. The other branches are in a little better shape. Westminster kinda has a little bit nicer system because they do have one or two larger commercial ones that handle the whole building. Unlike Walhalla, which is set up with essentially, small commercial or small, almost like residential ones, I don't know all the tonnage and all that, I don't know all the proper terms, but I mean, they're smaller. And then Seneca does have some special built ones that were built in 2011 that they've got one that handles the front part of the building, one handles the back part of the building, and then one handles the meeting room. And they're in a little bit better shape. They've got some ductwork issues and stuff. A lot of times the staff area there is pretty chilly, or pretty warm depending on time of year. But overall, those systems seem to be okay. But yeah, we're really gonna be hurting in Walhalla just because of the way the infrastructure is, just the way it's set up, with having those 18, 19, however many of them we have, individual units. They control different parts of the building, of course, but like, for instance, with that back area, I've got one that's just down. Sure. They know it, and they've gotta get a lift and work on it. In fact, I was getting ready to probably get in touch with the facilities director again this week with Jason. He does HVAC, so he knows, but again, down the road and not too long, as Cliff points out, I think we're gonna be needing to make, some noise about, hey, these all have to be changed.
I guess along that same line, the second issue is the building, the Walhalla building at least, I haven't been to the others yet, but the Walhalla building looks great for its age, except the restrooms.
Yeah,
And they're clean, but they're as clean as a 1980 restroom can be.
yeah. Well, we had, back when my predecessor was still actually about 2014, 2015, we had money to replace basically just replace the fixtures. So toilet and sink, in all of the bathrooms in all of our locations. But that was really about it. And then there was other stuff, of course, we got electric doors and we got other, there was a lot of other things we did. It's about $150,000. The problem, if we do too much other than cosmetic, and I think that's what you're saying, is just mainly cosmetic, maybe replacing or painting the partitions and that kind of thing. But if we do too much in there, then we rub up against ADA.
Right, sure.
We gotta be careful.
Sure.
If we try to, if you do anything more than just replace a basic fixture, then you have to go in and make it ADA compliant. And a couple of our buildings, we're
Sure.
grandfathered in and we're real close. I mean, I wouldn't call them accessible, but
Do you think they could benefit from a deep clean, a pressure washer?
yeah, I'm sure they could. I'm sure they could.
Maybe
I can
that's-
talk to facilities about that. I mean, they keep them up, but, and we've had some issues unfortunately here lately with vandalism and stuff, so, yeah, they're probably in about as good a shape as they can be, as you mentioned, but I'm sure they could benefit from cleaning and maybe even painting. We'll get with facilities and find out what we can get done.
Okay, sounds good.
Regarding the temperatures and thermostats and whatnot, could you send what you found to Blair for documentation?
Sure.
And then would it be helpful to,
Yeah, I mean, I can pass it on.
Continue to look
I can
into
pass
that,
it on to
or,
Jason and just
you know.
let him know, I mean, that, sometimes even what the thermostats read are not really all that accurate. I mean, they're not keeping up, and we know that, like I said, in the morning, a lot of times I'll go and every one of them is reading aux heat. So, we've turned a few of the schedules off, probably not supposed to say that, but we have. Just mainly not so that they run all night, but just so they come on at a decent hour.
Sure.
There's no sense in them coming on at 7 o'clock, everybody reports at 8:30, and it's got it from, hey, gee, it's 58 to, hey, gee, it's 65.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's tough for them to work in that, so.
do you get many complaints about the temperature or track those in any way?
We've had a couple, especially back there in the back, because that's also where the public computers are.
Right.
So we've had a couple people mention that it's pretty chilly or that they have to wear their jacket or whatever. And again, part of that, unfortunately, back where the computers are is that same one that's also
Right.
in the Macaulay room. So we know it's not on, we know it's not working, but.
That'd be inconvenient for a visitor, for a patron, but for the employees, it's extra bad.
I think fortunately in most of the staff areas, we're in pretty good shape.
Okay,
At least there in Walhalla, like I said, sometimes Seneca has a bit of an issue. I think Westminster and Salem are fine. I mean, Salem, they don't really have a staff area. They're just right there in the building. And
this
that's-
was a small lady who commented she was frequently cold, and I know that can play into it too.
But definitely in Walhalla, fortunately, most of the staff areas are pretty comfortable.
Okay.
Those units are, I think we've taken them all schedules and they're all set pretty well so that those folks, little bit more comfortable. I mean, it's one thing if you come in for 5 or 10 minutes and you use the computers, it's another thing if you work there all day.
Yes.
So,
The
you know,
meeting room's chilly. But it read 70, so I thought it was just me, because I'm always cold. But everybody in the class had their coat on.
Oh, interesting.
So
I'll check it out.
that's what it is,
Now
that
and
thermostat's on.
we can usually get it adjusted pretty well in the meeting room. The thermostat probably just wasn't set to where it needed to be.
You're
Yeah,
talking-
it
you're
said
talking-
70 though, but it was very cold.
You mean the meeting room right off the entrance?
Right.
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
okay.
That usually we can pretty well control. We can get it warm enough, like, we've had it warmed up for like story time for the kids and, you know, that kind of stuff. So I mean, that one we're able still to control pretty well, but unfortunately, you know, that's also one where somebody will go in there and have a meeting with a staff member or something, and they'll turn it up, and then somebody else will go in there and turn it down, and so, you know, I think we're gonna maybe just have to be a little more vigilant about when we know there's a public meeting in there, or like group meeting in there, or whatever, just making sure that the thermostat's set where it needs to be, because it still seems to be able to control that room pretty well.
Okay.
How about our Community Relations Committee group?
We had a meeting on January 20th, and it was primarily to discuss the upcoming plans for the library during the 250th anniversary. And so we came up with a bunch of suggestions. Blair was unable to make that meeting. We wanted to do history book displays, colonial story times and crafts, maybe an American history reading challenge. Anyway, we said all those, and they'd already had a 250, I think it was a week prior, you guys had a 250th anniversary meeting. So they'd already discussed it. They're working with, was it Oconee 250?
Yeah,
that we're working with?
Quintel Walker, who's our local history associate, he's actually the president of the County 250 Committee. So they've already got, some plans underway. We're gonna be working with the museum, we're gonna be working with, the county parks and, you know, several other entities, City of Seneca and that kind of thing, several other entities. So we're gonna have, some programs, some kids programs, some other things. I mean, summer reading, the theme is Unearth Your Story, so it's mainly like a dinosaur theme thing, but we are gonna work in a couple of 250 things also for the summer. And the county 250 committee is getting a grant from the state 250 committee to be able to do some of the programming. They're also gonna be putting out a map. There's gonna be a map with the, graves of patriots, soldiers, Revolutionary War soldiers in Oconee County, and they'll have like, you know, the ones on public land, there was talk of them putting GPS coordinates on them, but the problem is, they had a little problem with the GPS coordinates. The person who was doing it was using their iPhone, and then they were also using a Garmin, and those two didn't agree. So there's a little bit of a, you know, we don't know what's going on with the coordinates, but they do have a map already that they are gonna be putting out, that has the Revolutionary War graves, soldiers' graves here in Oconee County on that. They're working on a couple other good things, and like I said, definitely some programming, and we're gonna be in cooperation with the Oconee History Museum and several others, museums in Seneca and all. We're gonna be in cooperation with them to do some 250 programming
Terrific.
as well.
Is Salem gonna do anything for the ring fight anniversary?
I don't know,
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Cause that was a battle that was fought in, Troy Valley in 1776. And it's where Andrew Pickens, got his, you know, is his most famous occurrence. He got his nickname, the Wizard Owl, from it. And, it's a
yeah, I'm not sure if like the town's gonna do anything, or the county committee is gonna do anything. That, I'll check with Quintel on that particular thing and see, because if they're not, maybe that's an opportunity for us, you know, since we do have a Salem branch.
And we have a volunteer.
Absolutely. My grandmother put out the original monument, actually, back in 1936.
Well, I'll definitely check with
I'd come
Quintel
to that.
about that then,
It would
for
be,
sure.
I would love to.
You could dress her right.
I could say it.
I'll definitely check with Quintel on that and get back to you, let you know.
We also requested a couple books that we had all, in particular, wanted, so Blair was looking into getting those. Benjamin Rush, one of our three most, John Adams called him one of the most three significant founding fathers. And so I think Blair's trying to order a biography of him, because we didn't have anything on that. Also, we discussed when we added the parental resources to the strategic plan, we wanted to get those up so that we put reading safety, especially for children, in the hands of parents, so that, just to give them some additional resources. So they're just trying to figure out where to put them on our website and how we'll do that. So we talked a little bit about that.
Terrific. That's great. Chair's report? Chair's report?
Yep,
I don't have one this month.
that's okay, that's okay.
Director's report.
All right, director's report, we've already discussed a good many things that I would have gone over, so, other than mentioning just, particularly, I know Kim was talking about the meeting rooms, we did go ahead, I had in my report that we were looking at new smart boards for the Seneca and Walhalla rooms, we have gone ahead and put in requisition for those now, so we will have new smart boards that will update, because they're Android-based and not Windows 10 or 11. The problem we had with the Ricoh boards that we had is that they would not update to Windows 11. So while they still work for now, we were concerned about the fact that maybe later on this year, they wouldn't update, they wouldn't get critical updates, that kind of thing. And we have some money left over from state aid, from data processing. We kinda had some money in there where a lot of the software that we use for the library, the TLC stuff, the stuff that controls all of our, catalog and checking in and out and all that kind of stuff. We got them, they had given us due dates that usually came in like March or some other time or whatever. The county requested, could we get them to change all that to coincide with the fiscal year? In other words, 1 July to 30 June of a particular, year. So they went ahead and got those prorated, so this year, where we had budgeted X amount, we didn't quite need all of that because they prorated them, so they were a little less. So that money we're actually taking out of state aid as a one-time windfall and put it towards these boards. So we didn't have to spend Nettles money, we didn't have to spend Friends money, we just were able to reallocate a little bit of money thanks to the fact that, and of course, next year in the budget, we'll need all that for the software and the operating system and all that kind of stuff that we use, because it'll be back on a fiscal year system. But this year, we were able to take advantage of that, and we were able to purchase both smart boards, which they were actually a lot cheaper than the Ricoh ones. We were able to purchase both smart boards using that leftover money from data processing, and so we didn't even have to raid any of our gift money.
What
When will we
branch were
get
they?
When will we get them?
I'm not real sure. We just now put in the requisition, so I'm not sure what the turnaround time on those is, whether it'll be, fairly soon, they already have them in stock, or if it's something they have to special order, I'm not sure.
Which
Because
location will
It's
that
a
be?
bundle, it's a package, so it's like it'll come with the stand and with a keyboard and, all of it. It's not just the board itself. So I'm not exactly sure how long it takes them to get that in and assemble the bundle and all that kind of thing.
Which location would that be?
We're gonna have one in Walhalla and Seneca still.
Okay.
Westminster really, again, those smaller branches, Westminster, Salem, we have no storage, we just have no room at all.
Sure.
In Westminster, they've got a decent sized meeting room, but she really doesn't have the kind of programming there that would need a smart board. Most of the time, if she even has like a movie or something, she's still got a good projector with a nice large screen and a laptop, and she does it that way. So we had checked to see if they wanted one this time. They didn't really want one last time. Leah Price didn't want one last time, and she didn't really need one this time. So just for them, it's mainly a space issue, because if you're gonna have story time in there, or you're gonna have something in there where you wanna get that completely off the floor, they just don't have anywhere to put it. They just don't have anywhere to put it.
Okay.
And, other than that's about anything else that we're gonna, deal with will be later on in our agenda, so that concludes my report.
Okay. So we have a conflict on our May meeting, because that coincides with Election Day.
So the schedule that I had sent you all back, and we voted in November, of course, for all the dates. But what we did was, we went ahead and when I sent that to Jennifer Adams, the clerk of council, and she schedules this room, she found out that, hey, our fourth Tuesday is gonna be right in the middle of early voting. So we couldn't do it. So our choices for the May meeting, she still has these two dates available. Our choices are either Wednesday evening, May 13th, or Wednesday evening, May 20th. Those are our two choices.
You said May 13th and May 20th?
Yes, sir. And those are Wednesday nights, not Tuesday night, but
I'm pretty open on either of those days,
Yeah,
right,
same.
this far out. But,
Yeah.
yeah, we can try.
Yeah.
And then on this schedule too, what I had not done in November because of the issue that we had with, now, this is an election year, so it's weird. Next year, we may not have any problem, but what Ms. Adams suggested is I also go ahead and add January next year to the one we vote on tonight. so that I can send that to the newspaper and they'll have that in there and everything, so we'll at least have January covered. Then we'll vote, of course, either next November or January to have all next year's, you know, in there as well. So I've added January 26th, which is our normal normal fourth Tuesday. So January 26th to 2027 is also in this. So when you all vote, you're basically voting for either the 20th or the 13th, and, you know, you figure out which one will work, and we'll make a motion.
I'll share, I personally, the 13th does not work for me.
Okay.
So.
So does the 20th work pretty much for everybody else?
Make a motion that we do it the
Okay.
20th.
Second.
Second was Kim?
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed?
It was 8-0 for the 20th of May, and then, of course, we have that January date already on there as well, so we'll have January covered. Probably still go ahead and do the 2027 at the November meeting in 2026, just so we already have it, but just for the sake of putting the ad in the paper and all that kind of stuff, now we have, she suggested we do through January, and that, you know, now we have that on the books.
Do we need a motion to approve the new schedule as amended?
I guess we were only voting on the May thing, so yeah, I guess, let's get another motion to approve the full schedule.
I make a motion, we approve the whole schedule?
Second.
Okay.
All in favor? Any opposed?
I have a quick question. How many board meetings are we allowed to miss? I'm actually out of town,
Um,
2027.
It's in the bylaws, but I believe it's
No more
two.
than two in a row. Two in a row.
That's
We're
fine.
turning 70 and going on a cruise, and I'm not gonna reschedule for.
Don't blame you.
I
Can't
think,
blame you.
you know,
Couldn't
a
miss it.
quorum is 5, as
That's-
long as I can get 5 of us here, we're good.
That is understandable.
Okay.
Have to get the ship to turn around.
Pardon?
Yeah, that.
Oh, is it? Oh, you
The
might want
locks
to
at,
miss it.
Lake Hartwell.
Maybe we just change it.
Figure out something.
Okay.
I'll be here.
How about, building project update?
All right, so other than, you know, what we already talked about in terms of our HVAC issues and that kind of thing, we are still on schedule to do the paving in Seneca. Basically, I think we're waiting again on weather and also whether or not, Roads and Bridges has a asphalt crew leader by that time, because it is, the head of Roads and Bridges, Kyle Reed, really feels like that's something, he needs somebody with a little more expertise than just paving a nice long straight stretch of road. So we are on to do that. We went ahead and, we actually did have an open purchase order, with the county, engineer that the county retains for that concrete ramp, and we've gone ahead and closed that PO because we know we're gonna do the paving instead. So it's really just up to county now. We don't have to wait on outside engineers or anything else. It's just up to Roads and Bridges to when they can actually get working on it.
Great.
So we do know that that's gonna happen. And other than that, I mean, we're basically gonna be keeping up with some maintenance issues is our biggest thing right now. I mean, I still have some, you know, hopes and dreams about expanding the meeting room in Seneca and a couple other things like that. I did speak when I spoke with the new administrator, I actually sent him some pictures of where the dock is separating, slightly at our Seneca branch, and, you know, some of the stuff that's going on there. And some pictures of the facade at Seneca, because, you know, they did a roof a couple of years ago, but the facade could really use some work. We were hoping to kind of use the ramp as a jumping off point to get a few other things done to beautify the building. But if we're not gonna do the ramp, we still wanna have that facade painted, the fascia painted over, top of where the roof is, and also, you know, maybe have some of that brickwork fixed and that kind of thing. I think part of the plan is when they come in, to make sure that there's a smooth transition between the parking area and the sidewalk, they're gonna get rid of that one brick walk part there, or brick wall part there between the grass and the current sidewalk, and take that out, so they'll finally fix that brick problem. But I did send some pictures to the new administrator. We got a chance to meet, a couple weeks ago, about, some of them about budget, but I also told him a few things about what was going on with the library, including some of our maintenance issues, particularly about, Seneca, and also I did mention the HVAC, in Wahala, so,
Great.
those are gonna be, we know those are gonna be ongoing concerns, and that's probably gonna end up taking some of our attention and some of our budget just to fix. We gotta, if we're not gonna get new buildings, we have to keep up what we have, so that's where we are.
Okay. You've already included, change of the bylaws for invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Actually, we did that just for this meeting. We really need to have a motion, or take a vote on putting that into the bylaws under Article 5, normal order of meetings, because right now it just has what we used to have on the old agenda, which was not including the invocation and the pledge of allegiance. So if we want to include that in future agendas going forward, we really do need a separate vote on that.
Okay. Anyone make a motion for that?
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Quick question. The vandalism in the restrooms, we didn't talk about that.
I'm sorry, what?
The vandalism in the restrooms. we
Yeah, I
didn't
did want to
talk
hear more about that, yeah.
It's a,
Glad you brought that up.
it's not a, like a frequently occurring issue. We've just seen it more over the last several months, and I think it may be related to the fact that colder weather and we've got people coming in and, using it more and that kind of thing. Unfortunately, we have had a couple of incidents where people don't seem to quite understand what the fixture is for and have put things other places they shouldn't. That's about as nice a way as I can say it. So our facilities maintenance has had to clean up a couple of times in there where they made a pretty bad mess. We briefly considered locking the restrooms. Really don't wanna do that. We can, the ones in Walhalla in particular do have a lock on them. We can, one day we had to because there was a bad problem with the restroom and it wasn't something that we had to wait on facilities maintenance. It was gonna be like the next day, so we did go ahead and lock it. But as a general rule, it's not like an outsized problem. It hasn't become something that's just not the normal doing business with the public. So right now, we're just kind of keeping an eye on it. We're trying to, I have had the staff, when they go to check the book drop, particularly in Walhalla, when they go to check the book drop, of course, the restrooms are out there in the lobby. So I tell them, hey, please go in and check the restrooms, because we check them every hour, 2 hours when we check the book drop, then at least we kind of maybe know, have a little bit better idea of who's been in there and when something might have happened if it does happen. So we are trying to be a little more vigilant about checking them, but we don't really feel like it's a big enough problem yet to warrant.
Okay. No destruction.
Further measures.
No destruction.
Not destruction of property, mainly just leaving a
Understood.
mess. I'll leave it at that. but
Understood.
Mainly leaving a mess. I mean, we're not talking about, breaking down a sink or doing anything like that. We're mainly just talking about leaving bodily fluids where they don't need to be,
Understood.
unfortunately.
Okay, committee assignments have been updated. Vote to close, excuse me, Saturday, July 4th. County holiday zone, July 3rd.
All right, before we proceed, I don't know if they wanted to, I know the chair appoints the committee, so I don't know if they wanted to make some suggestions about changing some of the committee assignments or.
That's right, we did not cover that, I don't think we did. Okay, sure, absolutely. So, finance, who is coming on or going
But
off?
there wasn't really anything to do,
Uh-huh.
so,
So you gonna stay?
no.
Okay.
I'd
Not
like
enough
to do
action, okay.
something that I can help with.
Community relations would be good.
Well, we talked
I'll
about
take
that.
finance since I'm gonna have to do
Good
these
girl.
minutes.
Terrific,
There you
That
go.
way I don't have to do anything with it.
terrific.
Why don't you take, community relations?
Well, it was
Well,
either
you can do
that
more than.
or like buildings and grounds.
Oh, that's
I
right,
was-
that's what
I
you
was
wanted.
going through our strategic plan. And part of it was that we're supposed to be making the fronts of the buildings, the properties look better.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel really strongly about that.
Mhm.
As well as we have the Friends. Do they help with that? Would they help with that?
I mean, they're not gonna wanna do any labor, they can help with some money, but trying to find somebody to actually do the beautification is, usually we either have volunteers, or we find somebody in the community that'll do it. The Friends are not gonna be interested in actually doing any
Okay, so.
No, I may have an avenue for labor, because, I try and volunteer for Habitat, those kinds of things, so.
Okay.
I'd be happy to move to finance with Miss Judy if that's okay, and you can take my spot on building and grounds.
There you
If
go.
wanna do that.
Okay.
Well,
Done.
That'd be great.
here's the biggest thing, the Friends, okay, they're just the book sales and stuff like that. They don't do like, okay, we're gonna pull weeds, we're gonna,
Mhm.
they don't do that?
Well, I think they provide financially
Yeah,
more than
Because
what.
there's like
Yeah.
300 of them, right?
Yeah.
They're busy though, down in that
Well,
basement.
I mean,
Yeah,
to be
financially they
fair,
provide.
there's a core of about 18 to 20 that volunteer for the book sales, and most everybody else just writes a check,
I got it.
to be fair.
I mean, I've met with them, but I'm thinking some of the people, if they say they have 300 people on the rolls, some of those people might be willing to do other volunteer work.
Sure.
I think we could open it up to the public, but it's kinda like
Yeah, I
you go to
agree.
a church that has a, 300 people on the roll, and
Yeah.
you have 20 people in the pew.
Right.
It's,
But there are a lot of businesses that we can reach out and
Yes.
ask if they'd be willing to pick
For
up a
example,
branch.
Leadership Oconee,
And put a,
they do,
we'd be allowed to put a sign to say,
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
they can sponsor.
How about a landscaper contest?
yeah, and then Leadership Oconee, or at least when I did it, they have a project at the end of the year, and different organizations go to them and essentially,
I know how I can hit up for that.
almost like a,
I'll plant a bug in Brittany's ear
Yeah,
to
tell
mention
them-
that as one of the projects.
mention it, that the library is literally looking for Leadership Oconee to.
She's gonna be taking it this year.
Oh, is she?
Because they did Wahala, our project was, we
Okay,
cleaned out the
yeah,
yellow
Brittany
building.
Castro, our
Brittany,
adult
I'll get
services
up
librarian, she's gonna be taking it.
That was their project, they did a great job.
I didn't know they could run for it.
And everybody uses the library.
If buildings and grounds, the county workers get it to a level, to start, but then you need people to keep it up,
Sure.
Yeah, and they will come around and do the mulch,
right?
and they will come around and do any building repairs that I need and that kind of thing, and I'm hoping eventually that I can convince them. May not happen in this fiscal year, cause I think finances are gonna be tight, but, convince them to get the facade painted, do some other things. I mean, they will do big projects like that, but when it comes to beautification, when it comes to like landscaping, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I mean, they're pretty bare bones. It's gotta be where they can mow and, that kind of thing. So when it comes to doing a lot of that, in the past, we've had some of the garden clubs do that, but a lot of them have aged out or retired and
That's good.
they've moved on to different things, and so we really don't have any active garden clubs right now that are doing. I know, they wanna, they're talking, I don't know how far along they actually are on it. There is some discussion of a small community garden. I think maybe this year it would just be flowers and some herbs, but there is discussion of a small community garden in that area that the county had purchased years ago for Westminster for expansion. Well, it's never gonna happen, but there's some area up there that they could put some containers in. They're looking at maybe putting them some raised beds or something and having a small community garden there in Westminster, but that's still like worried about who's gonna do it and water and all that kind of stuff, cause I mean, that's gonna require probably a separate tap, I would think, with the city, maybe having a pipe out there or something. Running our, a hose from the library is gonna be pretty tough. So that's, I'm
Well, that's where
not
a
sure
landscaper-
how far along we are with that.
Landscaper, you can say stuff that rain only, that
Yeah.
not a lot of upkeep.
Yeah.
And there's some beautiful stuff
Drought
out there that
resistant
doesn't
stuff.
require a lot.
Didn't you say there was somebody who volunteered to help, a community member or something with landscape plan?
We had somebody, I had somebody, and unfortunately, I kinda lost contact with him, but really didn't have, able to follow up. But I did have somebody, that had just contacted us and had complimented one of our employees on great job they did with Storytime. And he just happened to mention that he does landscape design and that kind of thing. I think part of it though is, again, still would be, okay, he could design us something, but getting somebody to actually do it and then maintain it is gonna be the issue. I mean, it's one thing to make me a nice plan and, put a few plants in and all, it's another thing, who's gonna take care of them other than the mowing and whatever and the weed eating the facilities.
Well, it's weeds
Do
too.
the students at the high school have to have like volunteer hours?
Yes,
So maybe
that's a
could
good
we
one.
That's a
maybe
great
get
idea.
them to like 4-H there?
Their National Honor Society and Beta Club type stuff, I know has a service component.
And we are gonna be tapping into, a little bit of that for some assistance with like some of the programs and summer reading, but Yeah, again, we've been, you know, if you all noticed also, we talked about it in the strategic plan, redoing the volunteer program. That's kind of maybe one thing that we're gonna be looking for is actually volunteers to help with beautification, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, because Leah was out there pulling weeds, and it's like, that shouldn't be her job.
Yeah. Well, there's a certain level of expectation we have from facilities maintenance, and then some of our managers like Emily, Leah, well, all of our managers
Yeah.
really, I mean, they care about their branches, so they go do extra stuff, but it's, you know, I can get them to come and mow and weed eat and do, you know, painting and put down mulch and that kind of thing, and getting them to make a new bed or do, you know, some of that other kind of stuff is really up to us.
You know, that north-facing entrance, that's not an entrance anymore at Walhalla, that could use just a little bit of work there, would make that look much better. Even turning that into grass would be a big improvement.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
So
I'm on
to
policy,
wrap,
I think.
Kay, were you interested in buildings and grounds or community, or did we land on where you would?
Well, that would be buildings and grounds,
yeah.
right?
Okay, and that's you
So you-
as well, Paul?
Yes.
I can do finance.
He's jumping off of that.
I can
Yeah,
jump
I've got
off of-
finances, Judy and Cliff,
That's right.
and Paul and Kay, buildings and grounds so
Yes.
far. Okay.
I'm with you.
I want to stay on community relations.
No,
You good on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that kind of works with what I'm talking about though, too.
So get on community relations.
Well, I'm gonna need your help.
Yeah, well, I'm going to stay on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll.
so who's on, what again? I'm
Who's
sorry.
on policy
I'm
and
lost.
personnel?
Can we start from the beginning?
Hang on, so we've got finance, Judy and Cliff. We've got buildings and grounds with Paul and Kay. And then Kim had mentioned community she wanted to stay on.
Yeah, but if are you gonna, do you want to share that? You can.
Can we do,
What, community?
can we get who's on what, and then we'll talk about chairs?
All right.
Yeah,
So I'm going to stay on community relations. Kay's on that now. Mandy, you want to stay? Okay, Judy, you want to stay on that one, or you want?
No, ma'am,
Okay, so Judy's rolling off that one.
All
So
right,
Kay,
Kim,
Kay-
Mandy, and Kay are community.
Okay, and Kay, you are still staying on building and grounds? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And then I want to be on policy.
Yeah, Kim would be good for that.
Can we be on multiple?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes,
Me
Can I
too.
be
You
on
can be
building
chair of
grounds still
multiple, but
too?
you can,
sure.
Is that okay? I'll do
we
it.
can have,
Chair on that.
you know, somebody on more than one committee.
Yeah.
Okay, so, policy and personnel, I've got myself still, Kim, someone else was mentioned, yes? Or is it
Who's
just,
supposed to be on policy?
do what?
Was it you, or you want me?
I
I
think
don't,
Kim
I'm not
wants to
on
be
one
on
yet, I
policy.
can be on it.
You want to be on
Okay, so
policy?
Vicki on policy too? Okay.
You do? Vicky says she will.
Okay, great.
Great, yeah.
All right,
Let's start from the top, on who's, on.
all right, finance, we have Judy and Cliff.
Okay,
Who would be chair?
Judy, you wanna be chair?
no, Cliff will be chair.
I will be chair.
All right. Buildings and grounds, we have Paul, Kate, and Cliff. And I don't know if you're de facto chair, Paul, or want to be, or I don't recall.
You wanna be chair?
I'm the chair of finance, I
How
can't be
about you
chair.
be chair? Would you like to be
Kay.
chair, Kay?
Kay, do you want to be chair?
You wanna be chair?
Sure. Okay.
Terrific.
All right, Kay is chair of buildings and grounds. Community, we have Kim, Mandy, and Kay.
Mandy, you want to be chair this year?
No.
Okay, and you don't want to do it because you're already.
I was
Kim
gonna
will
say
do it.
Kay's art, so Kim, okay. And policy and personnel is myself, Kim and Vicky. I'm happy to chair again and hopefully have more time to devote to it this year, but
Okay, can we call a meeting without the chair if you can't make it?
I don't know about call a meeting, but I just certainly if we schedule one and I miss it, or, you know, we,
Okay.
Because I mean, the way we do committees and the reason we do these with only three, I think there's been some confusion about it in the past. The reason we do them with three or less is that way it's not a quorum.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, obviously, we still record it, they're still public, but it's not like a formal meeting. We don't have to put it on an agenda ahead of time and all that kind of stuff like we would for our board meetings, because these are basically just work groups, these committees are work groups.
But we have determined that they have to be in a public location or.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, we can have them at the library. I had already spoken to the county attorney about that. We can't have them at the library, so if you wanted to schedule them like Seneca, I think like you all did this
Right.
last committee meeting, if you
The
want to
meeting
schedule them at
room.
Walhalla, I mean, just, based on availability of meeting rooms, but yeah, I mean, we'll put out the agenda and all that kind of thing, but they don't have to be advertised, they're not,
Okay.
I mean, they're public, we have them open, that anybody wants to come, like, our branch head in Seneca was able to come to the last one
Yes.
since I wasn't able to be there, but,
She was
yeah, they don't have to be, since there's no quorum and that kind of thing, they don't have to be like formal, like, they don't have to be in here.
Okay.
We found that out.
All right, then I think we are good and no, any motion,
need a vote,
that's
no.
your chair's
Right,
assignment,
we're-
so.
We're just
okay.
making them while everybody's here, that's according to the bylaws, that's assigned by the chair, and, we don't need a vote on that.
That's right. Okay, we do need a vote to close July 4th, that'll be Saturday.
I make a motion that we close July the 4th.
Second. Any discussion?
No, but who was the second?
Judy.
Judy.
All in favor? No opposition, okay.
Yeah, that doesn't come up often, but every once in a while, we do have a holiday that, since the county doesn't have regular operations other than like the, solid waste and that kind of thing on a Saturday, they take the holiday on Friday, and especially like this year, July 4th, we definitely don't want the locations open on Saturday after, the county takes the holiday on Friday, now when it's the 250th especially, so. That's why we do try to schedule, every once in a great while, most of the ones that fall on Monday don't hurt us. But the ones that rotate, like Veterans Day and, the 4th of July and that kind of thing, every once in a great while, the county take the holiday on the Friday or the Monday, and then, we don't want to be open on Saturday, so that's why we have to do that.
And we also need to amend the strategic plan to include the following under Community Involvement Goal 4, Objective 1. Provide curated list of parental review resources on the OCPL website and in print form from a variety of sources. New resources should be advertised as posted.
I think the only thing I have a question about this is I don't like the word curated when it
Yeah.
comes to parental resources, because curated implies that we're implying that some resources are better than the others. I would prefer if we kept the term provide lists of parental resources, parental review resources on the website and, so forth, versus the word curated. Just because that implies some sense of we're selecting what items are going to be on that versus just general items for parental review.
So I, along those lines, had a question, because whether we use curated or not, someone is gonna determine what we're putting on the website. And I'm curious who's doing that curation, whether the word's in there or not. And is this project already in progress? Is this what you were talking about?
No, we want to put it in here, and Blair said he would get it as soon as possible, get to it as soon as possible. So we had suggestions, matter of fact, at our meeting that we had, is that Emily Sluter that's over there? At the Seneca Library, she mentioned Common Sense Media was good, because some of the lists one of the lists we suggested did not have media on it. So, we have a lot of DVDs and streaming sources, so she suggested Common Sense Media was one, but that's gonna be up to the librarians for the most part. We had specifically asked for rated books because it does provide ratings, but what we wanted were actual excerpts for the parents, so parents could actually go in and see page numbers, actual content from the book, and then make their own decision. So we're not making the decision for the family can look and say, yeah, this is something I want my child to read, or no, I don't want my child to read this. It's just a really quick, easy way for a parent to scan a book. So we thought that one in particular we liked, but as far as the rest of them, whatever the librarians consider helpful.
I would be fine with that so long as we don't use the word curated, just from the point of view that I think that opens us up to issues there, because the question of who is curating them versus just providing the resources. And, we don't want to say like, hey, this book is appropriate or this book isn't appropriate. All we're saying is these are the resources you can look at and determine what's appropriate for your child or
That's fine.
It's for the parents.
It's for the parents.
Right, and those
Using-
resources
and
would be
those
board
resources.
recommendations, librarian/director.
Correct. So removing the word curated
Okay.
takes away that question, I feel like.
So straight curated.
That's all
Okay.
I would say.
Curated.
And other than that, I think that would be okay.
My other question, and this might be with me missing the last meeting, is the strategic, I thought it was already approved and in place, or is it open to amendment?
We
this
approved.
was, since this was one of the bullet points, maybe if we're adding a totally new thing, then that might be different. This was already one of the bullet points anyway, so we're just basically adding to it a little bit. We voted on it, we don't necessarily have to vote again on the whole plan. I think it's appropriate at this point, since we're not adding a bullet point, but simply slightly changing one, that it's okay to amend just this one.
Well, and I guess that's are we gonna amend it for every new project or initiative, or like,
No, this was already under discussion, but it was a marathon meeting. So he said, we'll look at the exact wording later, talk to Blair about it, and then just bring it up at this meeting. So it was kind of a continuous, but we wanted to go ahead and get it done so we could move on. It was like a 2-hour meeting that night.
okay. Yeah, I have concerns for opening that up to kind of continuous every project and making it bigger
No.
than,
No, this is just a continuation.
I think, again, this was already a bullet point that they had passed, or that you all had passed, and it was simply sort of, clarifying what was gonna be part of that, adding to it. I don't think it's opening up, and that's why I say it's appropriate to vote on just this one, because I don't think it is opening up the strategic plan to say, okay, well, now we wanna amend it again, now we wanna amend it again. I think anything else going forward at this point is just, hey, we'll file it for the new one in, 28 to 30.
So does someone make a motion to amend as stated, minus the word curated, goal 4, objective 1?
Motion to approve.
Second. Judy.
who had second? Cliff did this second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposition? Okay. Motion to adjourn. Judy made the motion.
Who motioned? Judy,
I'll
It's
second.
always me.
And you were second.
Yes.
Mandy second.
Mandy was second.